Welcome back, guys, to another edition of Math 8. I am so glad you could join me once again. We are going to talk about lessons 11 and 12 from Fish Tree, and you'll be glad to hear these are the last two lessons in this unit that we're going to do. So I'm going to have you skip lessons 13 and 14 and not worry about them. And I know one of the things that you think about a lot is, why am I learning this? What good is it going to do me in the future? When am I ever going to use it again? So once in a while, we just try to apply some stuff to real world stuff, real world problems, real world life. You may or may not use some of this, again, depending on what kind of a job you get when you are all grown up and working. But it's always good to know this stuff anyway, because you may need to read something in the paper or in a magazine, and if you don't know how to read it, that would make it hard for you. So, what we're going to do today is use scatter plots and lines of best fit to answer real-world application problems, and I'm going to show you what a two-way table is and find out how to analyze it and discuss the associations between the variables. What can we find out from them? So, first off, reading information on a scatter plot. Take a look at this one. Money spent at the mall. What can we figure out from that? Well, there's lots of stuff, and you can see it all written there on the board. Down here in the x-axis here, we've got the number of hours spent at the mall. And over here on the y-axis, we have the total money amount spent. And as you can see, we have in general kind of a linear increase going on. They seem to be linear. It's not totally, of course, but that's the point of a scatter plot. They're not totally linear. And it goes up from the bottom left. So if you never go to the mall, you're never going to spend any money there, right? So we could actually have a dot there, huh? Except then we weren't at the mall, so how do we put that on there? Okay, never mind. Anyway. So we're kind of going up. It's a progression. And it's a positive correlation. The longer people spend at the mall, most of the time, the more money they spend. It's just that way. And then we have this one little outlier down here. This person, whoever that was, spent 6 hours there and only spent 10 bucks. Now, either that person is a really great bargain shopper, or I'm guessing some of you girls in my class, let me think, Karina, maybe Allie, who else can I name? Storm, Miranda, Sue, what do you think? Did some of you just hang out there together and didn't want to go home? So you only spent a little bit of money? That could be you. Anyway. So you can see there's lots of information that can be taken from there. So now I want you to answer a few questions about this scatter plot for me. Here's another one. Okay, so now what can we predict if we put a line of best fit on our scatter plot? What can we predict from there? So there's a line of best fit, and here's something we could predict. If you look at it as it goes up, a person who was going to spend maybe, I don't know, 7 hours would generally spend a bit more money, we could say. That would be, something we could predict here. Somebody who spent, well, normally someone who spent 6 hours should have probably, according to the line of best fit, spent between $60 and $70, somewhere around 65 bucks. So, like I said, that outlier, somebody got off pretty cheap on that. But there's things we can predict. One big thing that we predict by this one is the longer you spend at the mall, the more money you spend. Your turn. Number 4, try this one for me. Okay, now let's talk about two-way tables. That wasn't too bad, was it? They're really very simple, but we've got to talk about it. So now, two-way tables. The purpose of a two-way table is to take two separate pieces of data that are somewhat related and put them into one table all together. So see how this is? We can look at the boys were surveyed, and they voted on their favorite sport, or maybe it was even a sport that they participate in. So 8 boys participate in baseball. And as you can see, 852 here. 852. Baseball, tennis, soccer. And then the girls voted on the same thing, and their numbers were put here. So from that, we can put them together and come up with some totals of all the boys and girls surveyed. Either their favorites or what they participate in were baseball. Total would be 15. Okay. The total for tennis, add the boys and the girls together, and we get 12. So you can see we can put this information together and make sure, make it a little bit more useful. Let's answer a few questions now with a table of your own. Okay, next one. All right, so here's some of the stuff we can learn from this. Their favorite sport, that's what we were asking them. How many girls voted for tennis? How many how many children voted for soccer? So first, let's look at how many girls voted for tennis. So girls, we look for the girls column and go down to tennis, and it's 7. Now here it says how many children voted for soccer. So are we going to just go under the boys one? Or are we going to go under the girls one? Oh, wait, no, we're going to go under the total. How many combined? Okay, so pay attention when you see these questions. How many total children were surveyed? I guess this assumes each kid got 1 vote only. So we'd look down here, total children that surveyed. Both the column and across the row add up to 39. So each student, each child got 1 vote on what their favorite sport was. So your turn to answer some questions again about ice cream. Number 8. Okay, so sometimes we're going to ask you a little harder questions. The earlier ones were just look at it and come up with a number. These are going to have you think a little bit more. Look like, for instance, this question. How many more girls voted for cheese pizza than boys? So let's look. We got girls and cheese, and we got it right here. 16 girls voted for cheese pizza, but the question is how many more girls than boys? So we take the 16, we subtract the 4, and I could write that down here for you if you want, but I don't think you need me to. 16 minus 4 is 12, right? So the answer here would be 12. Okay. How many more, or how many boys voted for sausage or cheese? Now, the first question, we ended up subtracting 16 minus 4. But this one says sausage or cheese. That implies all of them all together. So let's look it up. Under boys, sausage, there were 15. Okay. And we're going to add to that how many boys voted for cheese. That's 4. So we're going to add to get that answer. Okay, so read the questions carefully and answer the question that's asked. Now, oh, look at this one. What percentage of boys voted for cheese pizza? All right, this requires a little more thought, a little more than 2 steps. The rest of them were 2 steps. This is going to a little bit more. First of all, what percentage of boys voted for cheese pizza? How many boys voted for cheese pizza? 4. We have to use the number of total boys. So to get that, we're going to take the 4. We are going to divide it by the 32. That's the total number of boys that voted. Oops, that's supposed to be 3, believe it or not. I know it doesn't look like 1. There we go, a little bit better, not much. Okay, 4 divided by 32 gives us a decimal number. Let me grab my calculator here. 4 divided by 32. Now, we get the 0.125. That is not our final answer. To get our percent, we now multiply that number times 100. Okay? And that'll give us 12.5% of the boys voted for cheese pizza. 12.5%. Okay, that gives us our percent of boys voting for cheese pizza. Okay, keep in mind, read the questions carefully, find out what they want you to know, and then either add, subtract, multiply, divide, whatever it is, turn it into a percent, whatever the question is asking you to do. Here's a time for you to prove if you understood that. All right, last question. You can do it. I know you can. Pick the right answer. Like I said at the beginning of the lesson, you're going to be skipping lessons 13 and 14. This is where we're going to end the unit. However, you are also skipping lessons 9 and 10. Go to the calendar on the website, click either lesson 8 or the one for this lesson. It'll give you instructions on how to skip through lesson 9 so that you can get to lesson 11. You're also going to skip through lesson 10, which is a quiz. You can look at it. You can use some of the answers, but don't worry about the ones that we didn't cover out of lesson 9. I am not going to use the quiz in Fish Tree for your grade. This time the quiz has to be done in Sapphire. So good luck, guys. Do your best. You don't need luck, do you? You're going to do your best. And thanks for watching.